Origin unexplained.
Sometimes you feel it all at once, like something slides in from another place. It's not fear. It's not confusion. It's a pause in time where the world feels layered. You're still in your body, still aware, yet something else is pressing through the edges of the air. You don't feel lost. You feel relocated. So it's not by distance, but by atmosphere. This isn't a dream or disassociation. This isn't adrenaline or confusion. It's something clearer and something known. So let's get into it. People often describe sudden glitches like forgetting where they are or zoning out of the moment. This is not that. This is clean. This is sharp. It's not foggy. It doesn't disorient you. It makes you stop, hold on, and listen to the air. That's what I call an environmental signature. I've felt it in a few different ways, and I'll walk you through exactly how it hits, what I was doing, what changed in the atmosphere, and why I knew I wasn't just imagining it. And I'm also going to describe that at the end of this, what those places actually feel like, how they imprint on the senses, and how you know they aren't from here. So I felt this for years, long before anyone ever gave it a name. I didn't learn it. I didn't read about it. I just knew it. My daughter Dakota had her own experience later on. It matched everything I had already lived through. She didn't have the words for it at the time, but she felt it too, and so did I. The full story is in the podcast episode that I did a couple episodes back titled Don't Know. We weren't together when it happened. Dakota had an experience while walking toward her school bus. I had mine at another time in a total different place. We both described the same place. We felt the same overwhelming sense of peace. Not surface level peace. Not just a deep breath or a moment of quiet. This is stronger. It's layered and it's real. I'm going to describe more than just that. Hang with me. Now, that episode explains how our stories tie together. We both recognize the place. It sounds heavenly. It almost feels heavenly. But I'm not sure that it is that. It doesn't feel like a past life. At least I don't think so. Can't say for sure, but it feels like something is present, and it's something that's present right now. This is our reality, okay? This other reality is not far away. It sits just like, kind of like cigarette smoke or mist or something away from this reality. It's not a dream. It's not a memory. It's close enough to touch, like fog. If you were to reach through fog or even steam, you could almost press your hand through it and actually be there. If that makes any sense. Dakota searched online to find an image that matched what she had experienced. She showed the picture to me, and I knew instantly that was it. I recognized the space. I knew what it felt like to breathe there, the temperature, the stillness, the weight of the atmosphere, and all that. It was not just peaceful. It overtook the body with the calm that does not exist in this world. There was no waiting, no thinking, only presence. It's the only way to really describe it. This is not a memory. I'm going to stress that again. It is not imagination. It feels like an imprint in time, not from the past and not from the future. It exists right here, right alongside of us. As I said, it's not a dream, a vision, or meditation. It's here. You feel as though if you move just a little, you will literally disappear in front of people around you and be lost in this other world. It remains just out of reach, like it knows you are not meant to step fully into it, maybe. Another time I felt it, and that was while I was in my living room. That moment is also shared in the Don't Know episode. The feeling was the same. The signature did not change. The air took on presence. Time softened, and I was still in the room. Yet that time, I literally was in the environment and then regained composure and was back in my living room and was back in full view of it. Normally, I'm just taken away by thought or a feeling of an environment around me like a memory with feelings, but it is not daydreaming or deja vu. This specific time, my living room vanished completely. just like Dakota's experience going to the bus. There's another place different from the first. It was a smooth concrete one-level building, and it sat in the woods. The trees weren't bright or hyper green like the tropical forest that I felt before with Dakota. Right outside of the door, maybe the front, maybe the back, I'm not quite sure, there's a massive reflection pond, and I believe it's in back of the building, but I could be wrong. It looked like a pool, still, glassy, silent, and that space carried the same signature. I've been there. I know it. Another time I was on a high hill, almost like a bluff or a cliff. It was grassy and wide, and there was palm trees at the top. I don't know where it is or where it was or how I got there, but I knew the view. I knew the feeling. I've stepped into that place before, too. It reminds me of one clip in Gilligan's Island and one screenshot on Fantasy Island. I've seen scenes resembling all these places, and I grab my phone quickly and I snap a picture of the TV show or movie, hoping that it will trigger something later. It doesn't. But yet, it still grabs that feeling for just a brief moment. And there's another place I visit often in this way. It's a garden. It's like an outdoor sunken garden with carved stone stairs that drop only about 5 inches per step. Kind of like a brick sideways, if you know what I mean. Just a small set of stairs leading into something elegant, something sacred. That also reminds me of an episode on Land of the Lost where they encounter Medusa. Not in tone or in layout, but more in structure. It has that same sunken garden feeling, kind of like being in Greece where concrete or stone-like flooring is outside. The same impossible stillness. That garden happens to me, and it is one of the most frequent of all of them. Another moment that stands out is a cemetery. This is a question, or possibly I chalk it up to what they call past life, though I'm not quite sure. There is a quick clip in the older movie Night of the Living Dead. It is right at the beginning of the movie when they are driving around a bend, heading up to the cemetery. There are tall, skinny cedar trees lining the road on the right at the incline before turning right. The scene changes to a tall, darker gray, overly polished cemetery stone that is about 5 feet tall. The base is square, around 3 feet tall. There's a huge sphered ball at the top that is a couple of feet in height and width. The scene changes to a funeral. There is a hearse behind me on the left, and walking towards me is a younger woman in her 20s or 30s in a form-fitting black dress to her knees. She's wearing a small black hat with a net that comes to just above the nose, but it doesn't stick out too far from the top of the hat. Under the hat, the woman's hair is black and pulled back tightly at a bun at the bottom of the hat. She has bright blue eyes with thick eyeliner like Priscilla Presley wore at her wedding. At any rate, I always get that weird, surreal feeling with this place, but it's rather creepy, actually, compared to other things. Now, the first time I saw the Voynich manuscript, I wasn't analyzing it. I wasn't studying symbols or language. I just looked at it. I knew I didn't have to figure it out. I wasn't guessing. I was reading it without reading it. The meaning was sitting beneath the surface like it's already familiar. How do you explain that? It wasn't a puzzle. It was a guide, a visual and energetic manual, especially for women. And the feeling that it gave off was nurturing, like intentional. It felt like a tool for healing pregnant women. Something meant to help pregnant women and show how to use water and herbs to bring the body back into balance. I can feel the surrounding environments around it and how it felt to be there physically. So you put the herbs in up at the top, and, you pour water through, and, I don't know how I know. I just know. The images don't feel symbolic. They felt instructional. The positioning of the women, the flow of the water, the plants surrounding them. It made sense in a way that had nothing to do with language. The manuscript was built to transmit knowledge without words, I guess. I don't know. Maybe kind of like a storybook. I didn't come to that conclusion. I remembered it. I didn't come to that conclusion. It's almost like I remembered it, even though I don't really remember it. It wasn't imagination. It was recognition. Like a memory of mine, yet at the same time, not mine, but someone else's environment. But no, be truthful with you, I did feel it. So this does happen to me occasionally. It is not rare. These are places, that don't show up because I'm trying to reach them. Sometimes the picture will trigger it, or just the air. I mean, God, I could just be sitting and then they show up because they're already there. And I happen to brush against them. That's the only way to describe it. When it happens, I feel it though. I feel it through every part of me. Like the air changes, the silence is different. Time stretches out as if everything was kind of slowed. Not drag and not slow like that, but I guess the only way to compare it would be compare it to Colorado to New York City. I mean, New York, ding, 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 ding. Colorado, ding, 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 the silence is different. Time stretches out as if everything is slowed, but nothing is wrong. It almost feels kind of like mythological, like Greece or someplace ancient, but not in a historical way. It's the energy that makes it feel that way. The feeling is so calm, so rich, and so full that it silences everything else. My body doesn't really go anywhere. My mind doesn't drift. I mean, I'm present, but in a way that feels like enhanced. Time feels thick, but not a heavy thick. Peace feels physical. The entire environment slows me down without effort. It doesn't take practice. It doesn't take meditation. It just happens on its own. And I'm a firm believer that when things are supposed to happen, they will happen on their own. Put the books down. Stop trying to learn, and just be. And then it happens. There's never anyone else physically there with me when I'm in these places. Not really. But one time in a lush green forest near water, I sensed something else. Something present. I couldn't see it. I couldn't name it. It didn't speak. It didn't move. But it was still there. It wasn't threatening, but it carried weight. Like if I crossed a threshold, something astronomical might happen. That sense of impending, and I don't necessarily mean impending doom, but kind of like if you're on a mountain cliff, well, that'd be impending doom, I guess. You're sitting there and damn well if you take one step, you're going to go, but it's not evil, but I always feel like I'm right on the edge of knowing something, but I don't know what. And the fish that's in the water below me, I don't know what it is about them. There's something scary there. I don't know. I never know what the thing is. I don't know what would happen if I went further. Maybe I'm not supposed to, or maybe I'm not ready. At times I go in fully. I feel the peace. I feel the stretching. I breathe in silence and stay there as long as I can, which the longest might be a minute or two. I don't really know because it's like time does not exist. And I don't know how to explain that. There's no way to explain it outside of a feeling. So it does not exist like what we experience daily. You're simply there. Other times it comes on suddenly and I feel myself slipping into the place and it takes me off guard. When that happens, okay, I'll be truthful, it scares me. Just for a moment, not because of danger, but because of how fast it happens. And in those moments, I mean, I can hold myself here. I can plant myself in this reality and stop the slide, but I don't always want to, but I can. The signature that comes with these moments is not a glitch. It's not disassociation. It's not the kind of forgetting where you walk into a room and can't remember why you're there. It's almost surreal, but not in a hazy or dreamy way. It is very clear, very, very, very clear. It is grounded. It should not exist in this reality, yet somehow it does. Okay, this is not hypervigilance at all. This is not anxiety. This is not a brain scanning for threat. This is a moment of full awareness. It's not about fear. It's about knowing. You feel it before you can explain it. You don't imagine it. You remember it. It isn't a reaction. It is recognition. Something is out there. Something's right here. It's there. Not out in space, but pressed right up against us. Just like one layer off or something. If you've ever felt it, then you know. And if you haven't yet, you might want to pay attention to the silence between things. That's where it resides. This has been another episode of Origin Unexplained. I'm Sue, your host. And if you have a story you would like told, or you'd like to tell your own, email us at originunexplained, with no E in there, UNXPLAINED, @gmail.com.
Origin Unexplained.